Hi, welcome to the 15 Minutes Podcast with Accasia Hanson from Top Towns Promotions Australia, featuring the best of independent music worldwide. Be sure to subscribe and stay blessed. Hi, welcome to the 15 Minute Podcast with Accasia Hanson, and today we have Tuesday Atlas. Tuesday Atlas. How are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm doing all right. So that people can get to know you that don't know you, can you give us a bit of an introduction? Like where are you from? What's your musical background and things like that?
Sure. We're from Fort Wayne, Indiana, in the U.S. Um, we are a four-piece. You probably couldn't tell with just me here today, but
Yeah, yeah.
there are four of us in the band. Myself, I play guitar, and then we also have another guitar player, and he's also the vocalist. His name is Dakota. Our drummer is named Cisco, or our bassist is named Cisco, and our drummer is named Easton. Um, we've all been friends for about 5 years at this point, and Dakota, Cisco, and I have known each other since we were probably 13, and we played music together back then. Cisco taught Dakota how to play guitar, and then I taught myself how to play guitar, and
Nice.
met
Nice.
met up with them and kind of hit it off. And Easton came along within the last few years, but he's been playing drums practically his whole life.
Nice.
Um, and as far as like our musical backgrounds and stuff, I grew up really into like 80s metal and hair metal and stuff, and
Yeah.
Dakota and Cisco were more into like the grunge and goth rock type stuff,
Okay.
and then Easton's kind of just a smorgasbord of everything, really. But he really likes alternative rock and metal and stuff too. So when we all came together, it kind of turned into the best way I can describe it is like an alternative rock sort of project
Alternative. Okay. Okay.
with a little
By
bit of
alternative, does that mean different? It's kind of different rock.
yeah.
Okay.
It's really hard to explain because we now that we're older, we all have completely different
Even me,
music
I'm a
tastes.
singer and I don't know what genre I am. It's hard to
Yeah,
yeah.
I feel like it's not really for us to say, you know.
Yeah, people gotta
I feel
tell
like,
you. Yeah,
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 I feel like somebody needs to be like, oh, or I would like people to be like, oh, you sound like this band that I like, or the stuff we haven't even heard of that people like.
yeah. You should be a new genre, like like they're like, oh, you sound like,
Yeah, I'd like to be something new. So
yeah. A fusion of everything in the past.
yes,
Yeah,
exactly.
nice. Okay, you sort of explained this already, but just to ask again, what made you want to become a musician?
Um, I can't really speak for the other guys.
Yeah,
I just
for you
know
personally.
for me it was I'm not sure if you're familiar with a guitar player called Buckethead. Um,
No, no.
but I found him when I was probably 12 or 13,
Yeah.
and he just blew me away. And I really had never heard anybody play guitar like he did and still does. But he's just a really talented guitar player, and it's kind of a solo show with him. He
Yeah.
writes and records all of his own music, and at this point he's put out like 320 solo albums, and
Wow. He just
it's
goes for
just like,
days.
yeah,
Yeah.
if he's sick or something, he doesn't let it stop him. He'll record
You
right in
just
a
go. That's life.
so
Yeah.
yeah, and um that really impressed me, and not just like his prolific nature or the the his talent in playing, but just like the way his songs made me feel, and I really wanted to try to mimic that. I'll never be as good as he is, but
Never say never.
yeah, I just don't have the time, you know?
Mhm.
So for me, that's what made me want to get into music. So
Nice, nice,
yeah.
nice. What accomplishments do you, this is kind of a big, broad question, like what accomplishments do you want to see in the next 5 to 10 years? But to narrow it down for your brain, what is the ultimate thing you want to happen for you as far as your music career?
Um, I think the ultimate thing I would like to have happen, and where I see us going in the next 5 or 10 years, are kind of like the same thing. I would just like to be able to travel to play
Mm,
our
mm.
music and
Yeah,
to
and live
meet,
off your music at least, at the very least, and yeah,
yeah,
mm,
and just meet a bunch of people.
yeah, that's my dream too. Mm,
Hopefully people that like our music.
yeah,
That'd be great.
create a little
Um,
hub community.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. I would love personally to travel overseas, and because we have a lot of fans apparently in Germany, and
Oh, is it like the world is delicious. Have you been overseas?
I've never been.
You never
So
been? Oh my gosh.
Mhm.
I've never lived anywhere longer than 6 years my whole life. I've just traveled everywhere. And the world is so loving and they love when new people come in and they're willing to listen to your music because it's so different and new. Yeah.
Yeah, see, that sounds so nice. I'm jealous.
Oh, don't be jealous. I mean, thoughts become things. You just gotta put it in the universe and say, "Yep, I'm gonna travel and make music and just love life."
5, 10 years.
Five,
Let's
ten
agree.
years. That's the plan. All right. um. Okay. Describe the because, but you're in a band, so I don't know how that you answer that question. But if you had to try a track in like 2 weeks, what is your creative process? What do you do? Do you listen to a beat,
Mhm.
make up a beat, and then come up with lyrics, or lyrics come first? Or what is the process for somebody who doesn't make music could be explained to?
Um, we do. I feel like we do it a little bit differently than a lot of other bands. Or maybe not. I don't know. Our vocalist and guitar player Dakota, he's always been like this, which is really strange to me because I like to kind of seal myself off in my office or a room or something, and then just iron out an idea. If I have like a guitar part that I really like, I try to, expand that into something. But Dakota is really good at having a guitar part that he likes and being able to just kind of make up lyrics on the spot as he goes.
Mhm. Lucky
And
him.
yeah, it freaks me out a little bit. It's
Yeah,
kind of superhuman, but
lucky him.
yeah, agreed. But he usually brings us like a kernel of an idea that he's had, and
Concepts. Yeah.
yeah, and then we just kind of all it, like when we first start playing a new song, it is probably like a 12-minute song, just as we're like playing
Okay,
with each
got
other
it.
and trying to
Yeah.
figure out what sounds good together and what
But is it
what we
hard to
like.
then break down that 12 minutes? Oh,
It can be,
how
yeah,
can you choose what's not good? I do that. Sometimes I record forever, but you just don't want to take nothing out. You're
yeah.
stuck. Yeah.
And that's where our drummer Easton kind of comes in. He's really good at being like, no, that doesn't work. Let's cut this.
Okay, you got a stabilizer. At least you're in a band, but me, I record by myself and sing by myself, so I don't have. I'm arguing with myself. Yeah, you need somebody to tell you, that's good or that's crap. Yeah,
Yeah, it's easy to get carried away when you're by yourself. That's for
yeah, it's
sure.
easy to get carried away, too carried away.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, are there any musicians who inspire you? And if so, what qualities do you admire about them?
I kind of touched on that a little bit
Oh,
with
you did.
Buckethead.
Yeah,
Yeah. But I know as, I've gotten older, he's obviously not my only influence. He was probably my first.
yeah.
Um, but as of late, just certain guitar players really just kind of blow
Okay,
my
put it this
mind.
way. If you had to like plan a festival or you're gonna go onto stage with somebody that you're gonna work on the same track, who would that be? Like even somebody famous.
Man, there's this band called Balance and Composure that is
Yeah.
no longer they're no longer a band, but
Okay. But if it's possible, that would be the thing.
well, that would be the dream gig. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and we all really enjoy their music, and
Yeah.
it's a huge bummer that they're not a band anymore.
Mm, mm.
So
That's the hardest thing. Like my next question will be how do you maintain the dynamic, the peaceful dynamic between it, like the peaceful dynamic in a creative process when everybody's got an idea. Like how do you? I don't know how y'all can make things work.
it's not always a peaceful dynamic, but at the end of the day, what's really important for us is to remember that like we're all still friends
Yeah,
outside of
exactly.
the project,
Mm.
which is why I think the project works because we're all buddies and
Yeah, but music or art is such a sensitive thing. When you do something and you're sure it's good in your head, anything anybody says is so hurtful. Yeah,
yeah, it's very easy to take it personally.
yeah,
But I think that is where, like, if you're going to be in a project with other people, it doesn't even have to be a music project, just in a business or whatever. Which, in many ways, being a musician is being your own business because you have to promote it, you have to, put in the work, put in the hours. Um, but I think the most important part is just communication.
yeah.
Um,
Communication, that's the way, and patience. Mm,
Yes. Um, and, part of communication is admitting when you get a little salty or,
yeah, taking accountability. Yeah,
yeah. So it's not always easy, but
yeah,
we
but
have
it's
to try
worth
our
it
best.
because teamwork make the dream work. Yeah,
Absolutely. 100%. If it weren't for the other guys, I would still just be playing guitar in my room by myself.
you know what I
So,
mean. Saying I'll record it next week. I'll drop it next week. You know.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then 6 months go by.
Yeah, yeah, year goes by. Yeah.
Right.
Um, Tell me a bit about your favorite performance you've ever had in your career and how the opportunity came by, what the experience was like going on stage, just a little about your favorite performance.
So there are two separate occasions that I always think back on, where I'm just like, "Wow, that was the highlight of my career so far."
Yeah.
The first was last year in December. COVID had made us take
Okay.
a pretty serious break. We didn't really do anything live for about 2 years, and that whole time we were writing music and just hanging out with each other. And we had a weekend. We had 2 nights of shows over a weekend with some of our friends in our neighboring state. They're a band called Heisey Glass Company, and everybody should check them out. They're really good,
Yeah.
super cool guys. And we met them just randomly when we played a show, and they came into town and um, just happened to be on the bill with us, and we liked
Yeah.
what we heard.
Yeah.
And so we kind of became friends through that, which
Yeah.
has been great. But that was those 2 shows. I mean,
They
like I said,
were they just yeah.
we hadn't done anything in 2 years except for play and practice.
It must be like, I mean, being reborn again. Yeah.
Yes, that
Yeah.
it felt we felt like a completely new project, and it felt like everybody, not just in the bands, but in the audience was super, super excited to just have live music back. And it was also like really personal, and there weren't a ton of people out there, but everybody who was there was super into it, and it felt like a really like community based thing. um and then the other instance that I think of is this past summer we played Middle Waves Music Festival here in Fort Wayne. um which is far and away the biggest deal of a show that we've ever played.
Yeah.
It's before COVID, it was like a yearly thing where they had very big like national acts.
Mm.
We were supposed to play it in 2020, and then COVID
COVID was
happened.
really bad, bad. Yeah.
Yeah, and like that year they were gonna have bands like the Cold War Kids and stuff play, and it was just like, okay, this is kind of a big deal for us. We're just a, we have, at the time we had like 100 monthly listeners on Spotify or whatever, and it was
Okay.
just like, all right,
Get
this will be good.
momentum. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that we played that show as a three-piece acoustic because our drummer couldn't make it, and it was just awesome. It was the biggest stage we've ever played to the biggest crowd, and just a lot of people had a
And
lot of good things to
the
say.
energy. Yeah.
Yes, there was nothing like it. So
Yeah.
my favorite
Oh,
by far.
beautiful. So we've come to the end of the questions. Is there anything you want to tell us that we could be looking forward to see from you in the near future or distant future? But what can we look forward to see?
Well, like I said, with COVID, we just stayed home and wrote music, and
Yeah.
then a couple months ago, we released our first full-length album.
Nice.
And there's a whole video series on YouTube with lyric videos and stuff for that.
Yeah.
Um,
And remember, an album only ever dies when you stop promoting it. So promote it forever. Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
Um, and we started recording that 2 years ago.
Okay.
So, and having just released it, we had plenty of time to start working on other stuff. So we've already almost wrapped up writing our next release and are going to start going into the studio. Um, so we'll be taking some pictures and videos of that and releasing
Yeah.
some teasers and
Give them a bit
that
of
sort of thing.
backstage passes. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
virtual backstage passes.
Yeah. Yeah. Beautiful.
So
Beautiful. So thank you for sitting here and talking with me. It was fun.
absolutely.
I'll
Yeah,
just
thank
end
you
the
for having me.
recording here. Hold up.